Welcome back everyone to part 4 of the medieval style door, and hopefully on this one we should be able to get all our textures and materials actually done. Once you've actually got your model and you've done all the sharps and you've done all the seams and things like that, basically putting textures on materials, because you've done all that prep before, is actually a relatively straightforward job. Now we are going to be bringing in some textures and we will be altering those actually within Blender itself. So with that said, let's get started. So the first piece we're going to work on is these stone blocks. So let's click on them, and what we'll do is we'll press tab. We'll go to our UV editing tab, which is this one here. Let's press U and unwrap and see what these actually unwrap like. So they should unwrap pretty nicely. They all should unwrap with a set of 3 and then 2 each side, which is what these have actually done. So we've got 2 little pieces which are on the inside of each of these that don't really matter because we can't really see these. And then we've got the 3 together which look like these pieces here. Now you can go in and turn all of yours around the same way, but because they're stone, as you'll see in a minute, they pretty much come out looking okay. So now let's come over to our little football over here. This is basically a materials tab, so let's click on there. Let's press the plus button and let's click new. And then what we're going to do is we're going to name this and we'll call it stone. Simply stone, we don't need anything more than that. And when you first bring a material in, that material, no matter how many more you bring in, will be the first material that gets assigned to this object here. So now we need to bring in an add-on, because that's going to make it much easier then to bring in materials and textures. So if we come over to our edit, come down to where it says preferences, and we're going to bring in an add-on, and let's just type in node here, and you're going to see one that's called Node Wrangler. Node Wrangler is going to make it much easier to bring in materials, to actually mess around with the nodes and things like that. So just make sure that's ticked on, click refresh and close it down. Now let's go over to our shading panel, which is this one here. So click on shading panel and you'll be greeted with a window like this. Now what I tend to do is I'll put my first material on, then I'll bring in my light and put it on EV just to make sure that it's looking okay. So let's click on this, which is called the principled Psdf. Now this is the main node. It's basically the node before the output. So basically all the other nodes run into this one, this converts them and outputs them into the material output. So what we need to do is we need to click on this one, make sure it's just this one clicked, Control Shift T, and then you're going to find your resource pack, which you should have downloaded, and it's at the bottom of the tutorial in the links. Find the resource pack, find the stone texture, double click it, and then what you're going to do is you're going to select the first one, select the last one with shift click so they're all selected, and click Principled Texture Setup. Now what that's going to do is it's going to bring them all in and set them all up for you. So now if we pull this one out of the way and just make a little bit of room just so we can see what we're doing. So let's pull that one down there. And at the moment you'll see that it does look good, but it doesn't look hyper realistic yet, and the reason is because we haven't put our EV render on, which is this button here. So before we start messing around with anything in the shading panel, what we'll do is we'll come over to our TV and we'll just make sure that we're on EV. So if you click this, you should be on EV renderer. We're going to use EV. Maybe we'll render it out in cycles in the end, but for now, to see what the materials look like, we're going to use EV. And the reason for that is because EV renderer renders everything so fast that you can just see everything straight away, and it looks as though actually how it's going to render out near enough. So now if I put this now on shading EV, you'll see that it goes dark, and that's because we haven't actually got a light source in the scene. So let's first of all go to our modeling tab, press the tab button, press Shift A, and we're going to bring in a light, and we're going to bring in a sun. So the reason why I bring the sun in is because it's an infinite light source, which means that there'll always be light there. You can change the angle and things like that, but if I put this on now, you'll see that the scene will be lit up in some way, so you can see that there's some light coming around here. Now I want to move my sun just so I can get some realistic lighting going onto these stone blocks so I can actually see what the textures and materials look like. So let's press Shift Space, go down to move, and now we can move this sun out. And if I point that now at my door, so I press RX45 and then RZ minus 45, and then we're just going to get some nice direction as well, and then I'm going to pull it across, and now we can really see what our door is going to look like. And you can see straight away that we've got some glints on here, for instance, and this is because the some of the maps that we brought in are just not set up correctly for what we need at this moment. So what we'll do now is we'll head on back over to the shading panel, click back on your blocks, and now we can start messing around with some of these nodes. There's only actually one node really we need to mess around with for the stone blocks, and that is the roughness map. So first of all though, I will explain what these maps are, just so you have a good understanding. So the first one is base color. Base color is basically all of the colors on the texture. It doesn't have no height, it doesn't have no roughness, no metallic, no nothing. It's basically just the color of the texture. Second one down is metallic. And normally these maps, they're black and white. They don't have any color on them, and it just distinguishes between what is metallic and what isn't. Metallic doesn't really have anything in the middle. It's either metallic or it isn't. Now you can mess around and turn, for instance, how metallic something is up to even something like a mirror, for instance, and you can turn it down to make something like dull iron or something like that. So there are variations within it, but whether something's metallic or whether it's non-metallic, that is what I'm talking about. The next one is roughness. Now roughness is basically how shiny something is. So if you think of a roof tile, it's relatively shiny. I mean, it's not glistening kind of shiny, but it's relatively shiny in comparison to the bricks down below. So something like this stone, for instance, this is what is actually affecting this glint here. It's too shiny basically. And now if we go down to the next one, this is the normal map. This is what makes it look actually realistic. This is what all these little bumps are on here that makes it actually look like stone. And this is what this map actually does. If I come down and turn this strength up, you can see now we can get a lot more height on this to the point where it just looks ridiculous. So let's put that back. We're not actually going to mess around with that on this actual texture here. So let's come down to displacement. Now displacement, as you'll see, if I turn this up, you'll see it really doesn't have that much effect on anything. You can turn up the mid levels and things like that. Now it does have a very slight effect on the actual height of the texture, but it's so small that you really can't notice it. The displacement is mainly used for actually using alongside the displacement modifier, which is this one over here. And what that does is actually displaces the geometry within the mesh to actually fit around the actual texture. That is what it's used for, and we're actually going to use this when we actually come to our stone floor, so that's something to look forward to. But for this, we're actually going to leave them like that. We're not going to mess around with the displacement, but the one thing that we are going to mess around with is the roughness. So you'll see the line goes up into roughness. If I just unplug this, and you'll see now it's pretty shiny. If I pull this to this side, it'll go like a mirror. So now if I turn around, you can see it's really, really shiny, and that's not what we want. So now if we turn it up, something like that, it goes much, much more dull. And obviously this stone, it's not completely dull, but it is pretty dull depending on how wet it is down in your dungeon, or wherever. If your castle is up in the top in the air or something, it's going to be much drier than down in the dungeon. So for this, I think we're going to have it pretty dry, to be honest. So last thing we want to do now is actually come over to our UV editing. Now we've got the texture on, put it on EV, which is this button here, and now let's bring these out. So press A, press the S button and bring them out, and then you should end up with something like that. Now you can see on this one, for instance, this has a join here, and we really don't want that. And I'm also looking for two joins here, so I'm basically looking wherever it's joining. And what that means is if I press tab and I go on vert select, and I'll grab this, and I'm going to grab this one and this one, and I'm just looking around to make sure there's any more. You can see every single one of these that I've grabbed is basically on the line of the UV map. Now this is one problem with using UV maps in this way. It's basically not really a UV map. This is basically our object is UV'd onto a texture map. Normally you would send these out, you would UV unwrap them, send them out in Substance Painter and paint onto the UV map. We're not actually doing that because we made it easy, so we don't have to send it out into Substance Painter. So basically they're the two ways of actually putting textures and materials onto an object in the 3D world. You can either send it into Substance Painter UV unwrapped and paint the textures directly onto the UV map, or you can bring a texture into something like Blender and basically fit the UVs on top of that texture like what we're doing. So now if I press G, and I'm just going to grab each one of these. So I'm pressing L on each one, and I'm just going to move them into place just so we've got none of those lines there, just so they're not along this line here. And you can see already now they've all pretty much disappeared, and that's exactly what we want. So the last thing I want to do for these stone blocks is I want to add one more modifier. So I'm going to come over here to where our spanner is, add modifier, come down, bevel modifier, and you can see already now they're actually starting to look a lot more realistic now we've added that. I'm not going to apply that at this point, I'm just going to leave them as they are. So now let's move on to the next part. So if we click on our wall, we're going to come over to our material, plus, new, double click, stone wall, press the tab button, A for grab, U for unwrap, and let's just unwrap them all. And let's turn these, I think we'll probably have to turn these round, but I'll leave it for now and we'll find out in just 1 second. So let's come up to our shadings panel now, click on our principled, Control Shift T, and let's bring in now our next texture, which will be Stonewall Texture. So find your stone wall, click them all, principled, bring in your stone wall, and as I said, they need turning round. So let's first of all go to the UV map, grab it all with a R90, let's turn them around, make sure they're not kind of on the edge there, and now I'm just looking to make sure that they're about the right size that I want, and I think actually they are, in my opinion. You might want them bigger or smaller. So now let's go back to shading, and what I'll do is we'll just move these out just a tiny bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the strength of the normal map up. So I've got these here, they're not actually pushed out just far enough for me, so I'm just going to turn this up to something like 1.6, and there we go, they're pulled out a lot more now. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Let's turn them down 1. Let's have a look where we can get this to. Okay, 1.3 looks about right. Yeah, they're stuck out enough just like that, so I'm very happy with that. I don't think I need to alter anything else on the maps. I think I'm happy with the roughness, the shine, things like that. So now let's move on to our metal. So on the metal, which is all these pieces here, all these ones, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring only one type of texture in, which is going to be a metal dark texture, and we're actually going to change them within Blender so that we'll have 2 actual metals to use. There'll be very slight difference in them. One will be slightly darker than the other one. So now let's grab the hinges, for instance, and let's come to our material, plus, new, and we'll add our 2 here. So we'll call one metal dark, and then plus, new, double click, metal light. Okay, so let's click on the metal dark first, principled, Control Shift T, click the up arrow, and now let's find our metal, which is here. So double click it, click all 5, and bring them all in. Now let's make a little bit of room, like so. I'm just making some room because when I actually copy this, it should appear the same. So now I'm going to grab this one here, so make sure it's highlighted, little down arrow, copy material, click on this one, down arrow, paste material, and there you can see now they're exactly the same and they're all spread out. So let's come to our metal light, and all I'm going to do to lighten this up is I'm going to grab this base color here, press Shift D to make a duplicate, and now I'm going to click on here, Shift A, search, click on search, and you're going to put mix RGB. So bring in a mix RGB, put that there, and basically what this enables you to do is it enables you to take 2 actual base colors or 2 roughness and actually change them in some way by mixing them together, or you're basically overlaying one on top of the other, a bit like what you do in Photoshop. So now let's grab the color of this one and the color of this one, turn this up to 1, and let's now put this to screen so we can see screen is here, and then let's plug this into this here. Okay, so now we've got those 2 metals done. You'll be able to see the difference in just a second. Now what we need to do is we actually need to unwrap these. So let's now go to our UV Unwrapping, come over to our hinges, grab everything, and you'll see nothing's really unwrapped at the moment. Press U, unwrap. And what we're looking for now as well is actually check in to make sure everything's unwrapped okay. And you can see now that these little bolts that we spoke about, they didn't actually have any seams or anything like that marked on them, and they've all unwrapped absolutely fine. In fact, everything here is unwrapped really nice, so we've got no problems with it. The one thing that you might want to do is you might want to grab everything and just make it a little bit bigger. Also, I recommend with the metal and the wood that you come up to this button here, and what you'll be able to do now is find your metal color, and that will change the UV map, and now you can see where you want to place these on. If you want to, for instance, have all your bolts looking really rusty, there's a pot of rust here that you could use. So now what I need to do is I need to press tab and just make sure that I'm actually happy with it, which I am at the moment. And now, because I've got metal dark on all these at the moment, and you can check that by pressing tab, coming up to your face select, and if you select any face, you can see that it jumps to metal dark. Now what I want to do, for instance, is I want to grab this top one, so I'm going to grab this, I'm going to press dot just so I'm moving around this hinge, and then I'm going to press L on the inside of these hinges, and then L on the bottom, and I'm going to do the same on the others. So I'm going to grab the top, the bottom, same on this one at the bottom, and then the middle of the hinges. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make these just slightly lighter than the other metal. So you'll see I've grabbed them all, and now when I click on metal, so I'm clicking on metal light, I'm going to click assign, you'll see this change slightly. So I click assign, and there you go, you can see now it's changed very, very slightly. Now the thing is, when you're doing anything like this, very, very slight differences make a huge difference when you actually render it. So you will be able to notice the difference. So now let's come to our little bolts, and we'll grab these, and I'm also going to make these just a little bit lighter because these will be wearing on things, so they won't actually be quite as dark as the metal bars that go across. So I've grabbed all those. I'm going to actually move them. I don't like them on the edge there, so I'm just going to move them over, and I'm going to click on metal light, click assign, and there we go. And we can't really notice the difference on those because we've not actually done the bars yet. So let's now do the bars. So click on the bars. Let's look if there's anything else. No, there's not. Tab, A, U. Let's see if these unwrap okay. So unwrap. And yeah, they've unwrapped really, really nicely. So now let's press A, S, bring them out. And we need to bring in our material because nothing's on them at the moment. So let's click the plus button. Then click this little down arrow. And we're going to pick metal dark because we don't actually mean metal light on these. So metal dark. And there we go. And now you can see the slight difference between these and these. And again, it's up to you how shiny you want your metal. I think I'm actually happy with how this metal looks already. I don't think I really need to alter it. You might want it a little bit duller for your taste, but at the moment I think I'm happy with that. So now let's do these parts here. So I'm going to click on these, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to press tab, A, U, unwrap, make them a tiny bit bigger, come over to my plus, click the down arrow, metal dark, and there we go. And you can see already how quick this actually is now because we've actually marked all the seams and the sharps, and it's all done correctly. Now let's do the door handle then. So A, U, unwrap, let's make it a little bit bigger, plus, metal dark, and let's have a look. And there we go. Okay, so this top one should be exactly the same. So tab, A, U from wrap, and they're a bit set at an angle, but because it's metal, it shouldn't really matter. Plus, metal dark, grab them, let's make them a tiny bit bigger, and now let's grab the door handle. Okay, so on the door handle, I do actually want 2 taps of metal in. So first of all though, let's see if it unwraps nicely or not. U, unwrap, and there you go. You can see there's no problems. I don't think there is. There might be a problem on this part, but what we'll do is we'll bring in the material now. So plus, metal dark, and let's just have a look, see if there are any problems. So let's press plus again, and we'll bring in the metal light as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab, grab everything, just make it slightly bigger. And I just want to see actually if there is a problem with this part. So we're going to come in, grab this part. This is this part here. Now this shouldn't be joined here. As we can see, there is an issue with it, and I think the issue is the back of it. So I'm going to press question mark just to bring that on its own. And I'm looking basically. I think there's a seam missing on the top of this. So what I'll do is I'll come in, I'll grab this one, Control E, mark seam, and there we go. We can see that it's not going all the way around, and that was the issue. And the same on here, look. So right click and mark seam. Okay, now this should unwrap much nicer. So let's come in and we'll grab everything and re-unwrap it. So unwrap, there we go. Now it's nice and clean. Let's pull it out, and now let's have a look at that. And now it's much better. Now the thing is, when you actually isolate something with a question mark as well, I don't know why, but it makes it a bit dark. So if I press question mark now, you'll see it's much nicer and you're able to see. Let's press dot and have a look now around it and just make sure that we're actually happy with it. And yeah, I'm much happier with it now. So now metal light, tab, and let's grab this part, let's grab these parts. And we're going to make I think I'll leave that bit dark. So let's grab this part, and the underneath, and then this part and this part. And let's change those to metal light, click assign, and there we go. Okay, so that's looking really nice as well. Alright, so now let's work on these pieces of wood. These pieces of wood, basically I'm going to use the same wood, but again I'm going to change something a little bit with the inside of the wood. But first of all, let's grab the outside of the door frame, tab, grab everything, U, unwrap, and just make sure everything's unwrapping. And you can see we have got a problem, and I think it's these bottom ones. Yes I have. I've still got the bottoms on my piece of wood, so let's delete those. And now we can grab everything again, U for unwrap, and now everything unwraps really nicely. Now we're probably going to have to turn some of these woods around, I've no doubt about that. So let's come now to the plus, new, and we'll call this wood, and we'll just call it dark actually, even though it's not a case of light and dark. I think I just changed the color a little bit. So wood dark. Let's go over to our shading, zoom out, click on our principle, Control Shift T, find our wood. So our wood is here, so double click on it, click on all these 5, principled, bring it in. You can see we've got some real issues with some of the way the wood's going, which we knew would happen. So now with this wood, let's move these out first so we can see what we're doing, and we'll work on this one first. So we just want it to be just a tiny bit lighter. So what we'll do is we'll press Shift A, search, put in BR bright, and bring in a bright contrast, put that in, and then I'm just going to turn this contrast down to minus 0.030, and that's going to make it just that tiny little bit lighter than what it was. It was a little bit too dark. Okay, so now let's go to UV editing, and now let's grab the ones which are definitely the wrong way. So we can see, if I come to vert select and grab this one, that this one's facing the wrong way. This one's going the right way. Look, this one is as well. This one, and the rest are okay. So if we come over to here now, press A, R, 90, and that should turn them all around so they're all the right way. Now the wood at the moment is a little bit too small on the resolution, so I'm going to grab everything, come over here, grab everything with A, press the S button, and just bring it out, just bring that resolution up, and now you can see that it's really starting to look quite realistic. Now there is a little bit of shine on this wood, but I think on a castle door, wood being outside or in a dungeon somewhere, it's probably going to be a little bit wet, so I think that shine actually adds to it. Alright, so let's now do these parts here. So these are going to be exactly the same. So press tab, plus, we're looking for wood, and now we'll press A, grab everything, U, unwrap. And now let's look at the way the wood's facing. So we can see that one's facing the wrong way. You can see the grain going up and it should be going sideways. And this one as well. And looks like all these. So let's turn them around. So R90. And now you can see that's looking really good. So now let's grab everything and we're going to make these a little bit bigger. Like that. And now finally we're on these backwood pieces. So again, let's come to the plus, click the down arrow, find your wood, which is on the bottom, tab, grab everything, U for unwrap, and now let's see, and we do have a few problems on these, so I'm actually going to hide this with the H button, and I need to find out why they are a mess. So let's first of all look at, okay, so let's see if where the actual problem lies, because they're no good like that, because we've got a lot of issues actually with these. First thing I'll do is I will take off the Bevel Modifier, and then let's look. I think the issue is that we've actually joined these up on the back, so let's sort that out. So we'll come in and we'll grab each back of these first of all, and then we'll press delete and faces. And now what we'll do is we'll actually split these up, I think. So let me see if I can grab each one of these. So you can see I can grab each one independently. So what we'll do is we'll grab these three and these, and we'll press Y, G, just to make sure we can move them all, which they can. And now we should be able to fix the problems we have with these. So they shouldn't have any bombs on to start, so we can get rid of those. So delete and faces. And let's look at the others now. So press Alt H. And I will delete these as well. So delete faces. And now basically they should flow all the way around, all the way down to there. So let's press A now and see if they actually unwrap. And now you can see they unwrap much better. I just need to turn them around. So A, R, 90, and there you go. You can see they look so much better already. So now let's press Ctrl A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry, and now let's bring in our bevel modifier, and there you go. It looks really nice already. And let's turn this down now to something maybe 0.2 or 0.3. Let's press Alt H, bring it back. We still want that gap down there. We can see that there's still a little bit too small on the UV map. So I'm going to grab the door, press the tab button, press the S button just to bring them out now. And now you can see they look really realistic. Okay, so that's looking really good. Now what we need to do is we actually need to just change this material very slightly. So let's now come over to our materials tab again. Click on there, click the plus button, new, and we'll call this wood light. I'm not sure if I already made one or not, but click on the wood dark, down arrow, copy material, down arrow, paste material. Okay, so now let's go to our shading panel, and this is what we've got at the moment. So I do want to change this, so I'm going to grab this brightness and contrast, press delete, I'm going to press Shift A, search, mix, RGB. I'm going to go in and change this from mix to difference. And then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to bring in a color. So Shift A, RGB, bring that in. And then we're going to plug this to the bottom one, this to the top one. I'm going to put the FAC on 0.02. And I'm going to plug the color into the base color. Okay, nothing happens right now, but when, that's because we didn't assign it. So let's first of all click on the wood dark, click minus, and now you'll see if I bring this up and down, you've got some control of the color. You can even change the color as well to a little bit more brown like this. I wouldn't go too much with it, but I think now you see that you've got a lot of control over this, so you can really start turning that up so it's very close to the other wood, but also very different. You can see how powerful this is when you bring in a material that you can bring in a heap, you can bring in one material and change in a heap of different ways. So now that's that done. So let's double tap the A, and I think actually I'm very happy with how the doors turned out. And now we'll go back to modeling, press the tab button, and now what we'll do is we'll work on our floor and work on our lighting. Okay, so now let's bring in a plane. So I'll press Shift A, Mesh, Plane, and it's not coming in the middle for me. I'm actually going to delete that. Shift S, Cursor to World Origin, and now I'll bring in a plane. So Shift A, Plane. Let's make it much bigger. So I'm going to bring it out something like that. Maybe that's a little bit too big, a little bit smaller. Yeah, and something like that I think is absolutely fine. I'm just making sure that the wall here is actually below the ground plane. It looks about right to me, so we just don't want any shadows or any artifacts appearing underneath it or anything like that. So now let's bring in our final material. So come over to our little materials tab, plus new stone floor. And basically, because we've just brought in a primitive, we're not really going to be doing anything with this except subdividing it. We can actually press tab, press unwrap, and it will be already unwrapped, nice and easy for us. So now let's go over to the shadings panel, zoom out a little bit, click on my principle, Control Shift T. I'm looking for stone floor, grab them all, bring them in, and there we go. Now you can see that these are way too big, they're like giant flagstones. Let's come over to our UV editing, grab it with A, zoom out so we can see what we're doing, press the S button and bring it out until you're actually happy with the size. And we are going to be doing something a little bit different with these. As I said, we're actually going to be bringing in a displacement. So what we'll do now is we'll go to modeling. Now we're happy with the size of the actual stones. Okay, so now we've got our stone floor, in the way we like it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to press B, grab everything, even the light as well actually, it doesn't matter, and just pull it up just above those green and red lines, these markers here, just so I can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to click on my stone floor. So now let's actually subdivide this. So if we press tab and we right click, subdivide, and subdivide once more, and now you should see, if I zoom in a bit smaller and double tap the A, you can see a line going across there, and you can see now it's split into a few different pieces. Now what we can do is, with subdivide, is we can actually come over to our add modifier tab, and we're going to add a subdivision surface. And you'll notice that this happens at the moment, tries and rounds the edges off. And what you can do to take that off is just put it on simple, and then it will keep it the same size as what you had it. And now if you press Z, wireframe, you'll see that this is what it looks like. And if I now turn up this and this, you'll see now we can actually start subdividing it a fair few times. So you can see now we've got all these subdivisions in this piece of mesh. Now that's going to be handy for when we use that displacement map that I was telling you about. So now what we're going to do is going to add another modifier. So click this button, displace, and there we go. Now let's press tab and it'll drop up. Let's put it back on Eevee so we can see what we're doing. And now we need to bring in our texture to actually displace this on. So what we'll do is we'll come to our little flag icon. This is the texture. Click on there, click new, come down to where this little arrow is here. So put in STO, and then you should be able to scroll down and you'll see one that says stone floor base, and it says DIS on the end. Click that on and you'll end up with a mess like this, which is quite normal. Go over to your displacement, and what you're going to do now is you're going to bring this strength all the way down to 0.010. And that then is going to give you, if you look at the edges now, you can see that this is slightly brought up where it needs to be. If you bring this up higher, look, you can really start to mess around with the height of the actual mesh. Now the other thing is you can also mess around with the mid levels. I think I'm just going to turn it to 0. And something to remember is the higher up that you go on the amount of subdivisions you have, the more actual triangles you're actually going to generate. So I normally only do this for floors and things like that. I don't do it with everything. and it's just to keep that, just to make a really nice render with the floor in there. Okay, so that's the floor done. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually set up another plane. So we've got our plane there, press the S button, bring it out just past where these edges are going along here, and now I'm just going to press tab, edge select, grab this back edge, shift space if you've not got the move tool, pull it back, E, Z, pull it up, and now let's round this off just so it makes it nice for when we take our render. So let's grab this edge here, press Ctrl B, bring it out like this, and now we're just going to turn up these segments a fair few to make it nice and rounded. Press the tab button, right click, shade smooth, and now what happens is this light bounces off here and it makes a really nice good backdrop for actually lighting a scene with. Okay, so let's put the material on the backdrop. So if I click on the backdrop, come to materials, press the plus button, new, and I'll just call it backdrop. And all I'll do now is come to base color. I'm going to go to the hex button here, and I'm just going to Ctrl V a color that I already set up in the first one. So you can use this color, it's this color here, or you can actually make your own color up. It's totally up to you. Now what we'll do is we'll actually come in and get rid of this sun, and then we'll press Shift A, bring in a new light, and we're going to bring in a area light, and let's bring it up, point it in the right direction. So that's RX 45, RZ minus 45, and that gives us a nice angle there. Bring it up and just have it pointing at the door, and it's maybe a little bit high there, so I'll just bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to set the power to 2000, something like that, and now you can see already it's starting to light that area up. Okay, so now what we want to do is we actually want to bring in our HDRI. So what we'll do is we'll come over to our world, we will click on where it says color, and you're going to click environment texture, and it'll all go pink. Click open, and then find your HDRI, which is in this file here, double click it, wait a few seconds, and there we go. And now you've got some really nice lighting, because this lighting now is based on this scene. So you've got a sunset over here, and all that light is basically coming onto this actual doorway here. Now why I included this HDRI is so that you've got an option whether you want to do a render with the HDR light and to show you how that actually works, or if you actually want to have some HDR light but make it transparent so that we can't actually see it. So the choice is totally up to you, and then you've got a few options there. So we're going to do that now. So what we'll do is we'll come up to this button here, come to film, click on transparent, and there we go. Alright, so just a few things left before we can actually render it. So what we'll do is we'll come to shading now. We'll come over to where it says object. Normally we would be doing materials in here, but you can actually also do your world in here. So this is now, there's our HDRI, the sunset. We've got a background node here as well. Let's pull this over here. And now I've showed you how to make the background actually transparent. Before we go on, actually we're going to turn that actually off. So let's come back over and just turn transparency off. And now we can actually start working on our nodes. And now let's bring in a couple of nodes. So if we press Shift A and come up to search and go to volume, and we're going to bring in a volume absorption, and then we'll also bring in a volume scatter. So volume scatter, and let's bring in a mix. So mix shader, and let's now plug that into there. Plug in our volume absorption, and it's going to go really dark like that. Plug in our volume scatter, and now we can't see anything. If we turn our density down though now, let me actually just swap these around. I think they're the wrong way around. Okay, so now let's turn this density down to 0.015, and we should now be able to see something that's looking really nice. So now let's mess around with this a little bit. I think we don't want it that dark. So all it is now is basically tweaking these numbers and seeing whatever you're actually happy with and what looks good and what doesn't. So I want kind of mist here, And I think also I need to bring another light. But before I do that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to come across to Eevee and turn that onto Cycles. Now, Cycles will take a lot longer to actually render, but this is hopefully what I'm going to render it in. So now you can see we've got a door and it's lit up by moonlight, it looks like. So what we need to do now is add another light source. So I'm just going to turn this on here a minute. Press Shift A, bring in a light, and this time we'll bring in, I think we'll bring in a point light. So let's bring in our point light, Shift Space, move, let's bring it up, and let's just put it somewhere like there. And what I want this to be slightly yellow. So if I click on my light, come over to the light panel here, turn it up to something like 500 for now. We're going to have to mess around with this, and then let's put it on a nice yellowish orangey color, something like that. And now again, let's put our Cycles render on. So let's lay load up, and there we go. Now you're starting to get something that's going to look like a really nice scene. So you might want to bring that light down. It looks at the moment I'm trying to get a kind of candle flame, so you might want to turn this up. Let's try 1000. Let's see what that's going to look like turned up. With the thing is, with spotlights you have to turn them up pretty high for them actually to do something. Now you can see now we gain a lot of shine, but it's perhaps a little bit too much. So I'm going to turn it down to 700, and then what we're going to do is now I'm going to set up our camera. So now let's press Shift A and we'll bring in a camera. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look for a nice distance where I actually want to set up this camera. So something like that looks really nice. So we've got a little bit of the wall in and a little bit of the floor, and a lot of this, because of these volume absorptions, volume scale, is actually going to be in shadow. So now we've got our camera in, all we need to do now is press Ctrl, Alt and 0 on the number pad, and what that's going to do is it's going to put the camera directly to the view that we already had. So now if we zoom in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little arrow here, come down to where it says View, lock camera to view, tick that on, and now I can zoom the camera out a little bit and place it really nicely. And if I hold Ctrl Shift, middle mouse, and just push your mouse in, you can see that now we can zoom in very slow. Once you're happy with where your camera is, click this off, middle mouse anywhere, and that will take that view off, and then we can simply close this down with the end button just to get that out of the way. And now finally what we'll do is we'll make sure that we're on Cycles, and we'll turn this render button down to something like 20, so it's a very, very low render, and then we'll go over and click on render and render image, and then we'll just wait for this to load. And now you can work out actually from this what you actually need to do different before you do your main render. So what I typically do now is I will come to my light, for instance. I'm going to turn this light up, let's say, what are we on at the moment, 10,000, let's turn it up to 12,000, let's try that. I think a little bit more light should do it, and then basically what you would do is you would either click on this button to see what it's going to look like. So this will render it out as a viewport view, and then you can make out if you're happy with that. So let's have a look at that. Zoom in a little bit, and you can see now it's a lot brighter. So now what I'll do is I'll actually do a final render of this, and I'll be back when that's done. So what I'll do is now I'll just turn this off, back to materials, go up to render, render image, and I'll be back when it's done. Okay guys, so there we go. That is the that would be the final render. I've obviously not turned my render up high enough at the moment to actually do a decent render of it, but you get the idea. So now basically you can close this down, come back to your Cycles and turn this render up to something like 1000, and that should be enough to get a really nice render. So what I'll do is at the end of this video I will post the render what I actually did, and hopefully yours will turn out very similar to that. So that's the end of the course guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. Give me a like if you did. Please share and subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to support the channel, please check out the links down below so I can bring you more full tutorials like this one. So I hope to see you on the next one. Happy modeling everyone. Bye bye.